Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn about the unique features of urbanization during British rule. In the later 19th century, British became a most urbanized nation. When they started to rule in India, Calcutta, Bombay and Madras become leading administrative, commercial and industrial cities. Besides, industry, port city, railway station, court town, etc. are also product of colonized India. Today, we are going to learn about the unique features of urbanization during British rule. Deurbanization, the transformation of India economy into a colonial one, a market for the manufacturers and source for the supply of raw materials to her industries. It had the industrial and commercial base of a number of towns. The gradual erosion of king power led to the demise of towns associated with their rule. Agra, once an imperial city in the first quarter of 19th century, was surrounded by extensive ruins all around. The native rulers lost their kingdom to the British by means of various policies of colonial power. Another factor which contributed to the decline of urban centers and pre-British period was the introduction of the network of railroads in India since 1853. The introduction of railways resulted the diversion of trade routes, and every railway stations become a point of exports of raw materials. The railways enabled the British manufacturers to reach every nook and corner of the country and uprooted the traditional industries in the villages of the country. The growth of new urban cities. British developed the centers of trade like Calcutta, Madras, Bombay on the eastern and western coastal area. Madras in 1639, Bombay in 1661 and Calcutta in 1690, cities which the British largely created and fortified. All those were earlier fishing and weaving villages. Here they built their homes, shops, churches, as well as their commercial and administrative headquarters. From the mid of 18th century, there was a new phase of changes. As the British gradually acquired political control after the Battle of Plassey in 1757, and the trade English East India Company expanded. A new trend of urbanization began in the later half of the 19th century as a result of opening Suez Canal, introduction of steam navigation, construction of railways, canals, harbors, growth of factory industries, coal mining, tea plantation, banking, shipping, and insurance. Changes in the network of trade were reflected in the development of urban centers. Cantonment Towns. The British occupied the Indian territory and political power by their military force. So they needed strong military camps and established the cantonments. The cantonments were this is the entirely new kind of urban centers. Army people began to live in these places and gradually they were grown up a city. Example, Kanpur and Lahore. Several cities among Indian subcontinent such as Ahmedabad, Ambala, Belagaum, Bangalore, Danapur, Jabalpur, Kanpur, Delhi, Meerut, Pune, Peshawar, Ramgarh and Sialkot and Secunderabad and Trichy contained large cantonment of former British Indian Army. The term cantonment is used to describe a station of the army during military campaigns during the British rule in India. Various military cantonments were developed to give space to the military troops Such cantonment were provided to live during the campaigning of the British troops. Hill station. Hill station was a distinct feature of the colonial urban development. Although the hill stations were not unknown prior to the founding by the British in India, they were few and had a small population and were often visited specific purpose. Srinagar was a Mughal recreational centers. Kedarnath and Badrinath were Hindu religious centers. The British, coming from cool temperature climate, found the Indian summer season inhospitable. So the cool climate of Indian hills was seen as protective and advantage. It protected the Europeans from hot weather and epidemics. So they built up the alternative capitals in cool areas like Darjeeling was the alternative of Calcutta. Dehradun was the alternative of Delhi. Hill stations became strategic places for billeting troops, guarding frontiers, and launching campaigns. Hill stations were developed both the North and South India. Shimla, Nainital, Darjeeling, Udagamandalam, and Kodaikanal. Darjeeling was wrested from the rulers of Sikkim in 1835. The hill stations were also developed sanatoriums. The introduction of railways made hill station more accessible. Railway towns. Railway towns were also type of urban settlement and were established in 1853 after the introduction of railways by the British. By the nature of railway transport, all the towns were located on the plains. Example, Delhi, Mumbai and Kolkata. The goals of the plan to introduce railways were to lower transport costs and give English merchants to easier across the raw cotton from India. Also, the railway would simultaneously open Indian market to British manufactured products such as cotton textile. The transport of heavy material became much cheaper. Railways encouraged people to travel further, and this meant people could move different areas to find work. MPs were able to travel more quickly between their constituencies and the Houses of Parliament in London.